are watching DBS TV and this is time for the news. Having brought the current financial year to the last quarter, it was time for municipal councillors in Douala 2 municipality to carry out mid-term evaluation of the execution of the 2020 budget and to vote next year's budget. Gathered at the ordinary session on Thursday, November 26, it was revealed that the execution rate stands at 62% as from June ending. Nevertheless, with the setbacks and complications brought forth by coronavirus, council authorities succeeded in getting this far, as Mayor Fampu Denise highlighted, indicating that the municipality came out second on national classification. For the next financial year, the council looks forward to functioning with a budget of 2,850 million francs CFA. With this amount, the council will carry out major projects such as embarking on the last stage of constructing the municipal stadium, the second phase of the construction of the Girl Child Center, classrooms and rehabilitation of leisure parks and public toilets. This could only be possible if income from various sources came in on time, as councillors pleaded with the administrative authority, represented by the SDO for Vuri Division, Benjamin Butu. Added to this, the SDO encouraged street lighting, as that will help reinforce security in the division. All these to ensure the well-being of the population. The administrator reminded these councillors to massively participate in the upcoming regional elections on December 6. The Council of Traditional Chiefs of the West Region have, through a public declaration, expressed their discontent on a number of problems the country is currently facing. A key point addressed in their memorandum is the deteriorating security situation in the Northwest and Southwest regions. The crisis, which has lasted for over 4 years now, they say has cost the lives of many, main victims of which are civilians and children who only ask for education. Going beyond the Anglophone crisis, the traditional rulers equally looked at the ailment plaguing the nation, which is the issue of Boko Haram terrorist sect in the far north, gradually resurfacing with its share of killings, theft, threats and kidnappings. While appreciating the efforts made by the government and medical personnel in the management of COVID-19 pandemic in Cameroon, the traditional rulers noted that other Cameroonians suffering from certain chronic diseases such as kidney failure are going through the ordeal. To put an end to what they call insanity, the Council of Traditional Chiefs of the West of Cameroon, led by His Majesty Chio Maurice, Executive President of the said council, reiterated their support for the Republican Army and its leader, while asking the President of the Republic to step up the fight to rid Cameroon of this impairment. Now we take you to Suza, a locality in the Bonalea Council situated in the littoral region. In this part of the country, citizens have gone for over 3 months with no electricity power. This has angered the people for longer than they can take. Thus, they went out in protest on Wednesday, November 25, demanding that electricity power be returned to their homes. The people have resorted to using lamps and candles, which makes daily life activities difficult for them.
We not get light for us. Now 4 months this today, we not get light. We use na lamp before we light. If we master now, we define, we will begin fine with it for bed with the dark. We not see lamp. We give picking Bobby. Even chop 7 o'clock. We don't enter house, we sleep. As we don't for village now, any man they fear because we not send a bad time this. We they fear.
They also decry the fact that the authorities concerned are comfortable in their homes and offices, while the local populations have to suffer on a daily basis.
7 o'clock we don't enter for house, we sleep. It correct so, but then therefore their place they enjoy. Climatize they knock them. So we want to make them give we light. They give we light. We not want to sleep again with the dark.
They explained that the long power outage began when agents of the National Electricity Supply Company took down their transformer, and since then they have plunged into darkness till date.
They don't take a transformer, they throw away and for down, carry the transformer, put them for motor, they go. We remain so.
Following their protest, authorities of the electricity distribution company in Suza attended to the people, promising to look into their problem. They assured the people of the return of their transformer and subsequently electricity by Friday latest. It was assuring enough for the protesters, but only for a short time as they left, but promising to come back if electricity does not return to Suza by Friday. In Guinea, several people were injured after security forces dispersed a demonstration by Union of Democratic Forces of Guinea, UFDG, supporters in Lobe on Wednesday. Participants had gathered to denounce the recent re-election of President Alpha Condé and demand the release of imprisoned officials. At least 7 people were injured in clashes between security forces and protesters, with some sources suggesting as many as 20 people were injured. An unconfirmed number of people were also arrested. The government announced on Sunday last week a ban on demonstrations until further notice due to the coronavirus disease. The UFDG had also called for a rally in Conakry on Wednesday, but there have been no reports of any gatherings taking place there. Further demonstrations are likely to take place over the issue in the near term. A heightened police presence and localized transport disruptions are likely in the vicinity. The Independent National Electoral Commission, CENI, declared Condé the winner of the presidential elections on October 24 with a majority in the first round. However, the official results have been challenged by opposition groups, including Condé's main challenger, Cellou Dalein Diallo, who had earlier claimed to be ahead during early vote counting, prompting clashes between his supporters and security forces in Conakry. Consultation meetings that were organized by President Félix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo since November 2 has come to an end. During these 3 weeks, the head of the state had received several political and civil society personnel, clergymen, trade unionists, amongst others, in his office at the Palace of the Nation. On the opposition side, Jean-Pierre Bemba and Moïse Katumbi responded to the head of state's call. The FCC party of Joseph Kabila boycotted these consultation meetings. At the center of discussions were the current political crisis. The head of state will address the nation in the days ahead to give the final report of the consultations, which is aimed at forging a sacred union around his person, facing the crisis which reigns within the coalition, the FCC and the CACH. Ethiopian military is set to begin the final phase of an offensive in the northern Tigray region, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has said in a statement, as after an ultimatum for the Tigrayan forces to surrender expired. The Prime Minister in a tweet said, the 72-hour period granted to the criminal TPLF group to surrender peacefully is now over, and our law enforcement campaign has reached at its final stage. Abiy said the army has been ordered to move on the embattlement Tigrayan capital, Mekele, and warned its residents to stay indoors. His government has warned of no mercy if residents do not move away from the Tigray leaders in the time, adding, they will take utmost care to protect civilians. Thousands of people are already believed to have died, and there has been widespread destruction from aerial bombardment and grounding fighting since the conflict began on November 4. The international community is pleading for immediate de-escalation, dialogue and humanitarian access as Ethiopian forces fight their way through Tigray to Mekelle. The electoral campaign for the presidential election in Ghana is going on well. However, the increase in the number of COVID-19 cases could compromise the flawless health management so far being observed. Given that voters will go to the polls on December 7, campaigns are currently ongoing with mass gatherings on an increase. This has affected the number of coronavirus infections in the first 2 weeks of November. The toll rose from 25 to 130 infected per day. This situation immediately alerted health authorities, who warned that the new wave of coronavirus could be more difficult to manage. If Ghanaians do not obey the safety rules, many deaths are likely to be recorded. The Director of Health Promotion for Ghana Health Service, GHS, De Costa Aboaye, said civilians no longer adhere to precautionary measures, putting the whole country at risk. To limit the damage, the GHS invited all Ghanaians to be aware of their responsibilities, that of regularly washing their hands, of gel and sanitizing, wearing face masks, limiting social gatherings, and lot more. Regarding political parties, he advocates the adoption of necessary measures not to compromise the efforts of an exemplary management of this health crisis in Ghana. In the USA, President Donald Trump has pardoned his former national security advisor, Michael Flynn. President Trump announced the long-expected pardon in a tweet on Wednesday, November 25. "It is my great honor to announce that General Michael Flynn has been granted a full pardon," the tweet read. The outgoing president pardoned his former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, who had pleaded guilty for lying to the FBI during the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. Reports say the pardon is part of Trump's effort to undo the result of a Russian investigation that yielded criminal charges against several associates. It comes just months after the president commuted the sentence of another associate, Roger Stone, days before he was to report to prison. The retired U.S. Army three-star Lieutenant General was an early and ardent supporter of Mr. Trump during the 2016 campaign, though he had been a lifelong Democrat before. Flynn was fired in February 2017 after it emerged that the Obama administration had warned the White House. It is said that Trump is expected to offer pardons to a number of key aides before he leaves office on the 20th of January. In Germany, German Chancellor Angela Merkel has announced the extension of the coronavirus restrictions until December 20 as it struggles to contain a second wave of the pandemic. Merkel said the measures introduced in early November, including limits on private gatherings and the closure of restaurants, leisure and cultural facilities, cannot be lifted given current infection rates. The agreement means continued closures for restaurants, bars, sporting facilities and cultural venues in Europe's biggest economy, though schools and shops will remain open. She, however, called on citizens to follow hygiene and social distancing rules, avoid unnecessary contact with others, and to stay at home as much as possible. From December 1, private gatherings will be limited to 5 people from 2 households, down from 10 people currently, though children are exempted from the new rule. Germany will also seek a deal with European partners to close ski slopes until early January to prevent the virus spreading further. We end today in sports, where soccer fans all over the world, and Argentina in particular, are mourning the death of legendary Diego Maradona, who died of a heart attack on Wednesday at the age of 60. Pain was written all over the faces of Argentinians on Wednesday as the nation came to grips with his unexpected death. To the world, he was Maradona. To Argentina, he was El Diego, a kid who sprouted from the slums, dazzled into the pitch like no other, dominated the sport and delivered World Cup glory that has yet to be repeated in Argentina. Maradona suffered a cardiac arrest at his home north of the capital of Buenos Aires on Wednesday. He had recently undergone brain surgery, pushing concerns over his health into the news. Many of his fans could only tell how he gave them joy and kept them happy whenever he entered the pitch. His rise and demise was the subject of a documentary by Asif Kabadia, the third and last installment in a trilogy about child prodigies consumed by stardom. As tributes rolled in from around the world, President Alberto Fernandez declared 3 days of national mourning, cancelling all his engagements as the government prepared to host a wake at the presidential palace. The government is expecting 1 million people to pay their final respects. Government buildings will be lit up in the colors of Argentinian flag in his honor. And that is how we saw it on today's edition of the news. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.